is participating in the meeting via video conference from the New York State Division of Budget Conference Center at the Capitol Building, 131 Albany. Chris Curtis, representing the Commission of Taxation and Finance, here with us today. What a treat to see you in person. Thank you, Chris. Notice of the location has been made public, and the public has the right to attend and observe the proceedings from location. I ask for motion to open the HFA, HTFC, and AHC meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
I will now ask for individual votes from each HFA, HTFC, AHC board member. Chairman Adams.
So, aye.
Commissioner.
Aye.
Mr. Curtis.
Aye.
Mr. Ozak.
Aye.
Ms. McCune.
Aye.
Aye.
And Ms. Miller.
Aye.
Okay. I ask for a motion for the HFA Finance and Program Committee.
Ken? So moved.
Second. Do I have a second?
Jesse, no.
Second.
Okay. We will accept the prior votes of Chairman Adams, Ms. Maznakis, and Mr. Ozak.
Yeah, thanks. When Lil comes back. So now we're gonna, well, we're gonna start today, as everybody's figured out, with the HFA AHC. The first item is the minutes, which are in the board books and shall be deemed approved unless there are any objections from members. Everybody okay with the minutes from our last meeting? Great. The next three items are informational. Item 2, current agency procurement and contracts and lobbying restrictions. Item 3, quarterly swap reports for the periods ending April 30th, 2023 and July 31st, 2023. Item 4, the clean energy initiative information item. And so all that again is in materials. Anybody have any questions about anything, including the swap reports? We only see that, what, a couple times?
I think the clean energy information item, Ken, is a new item, and I think is Samantha. I don't know if Samantha's around. If folks have any questions, this is a sort of giving us a history of what doing program. So it's in the book, but it's sort of a new information item. I just wanted to highlight.
Does it come up later in Sunday?
No,
We have more people might ask questions.
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it just provides a summary of the grants that have come from NYSERDA.
Right.
The money that has been used. So in case anybody, it's new. It's sort of like a.
Great.
So
Well, thanks for joining us.
I just wanted to note that the Clean Energy Initiative here in New York is something we want to replicate with our award from the EPA if we get it under the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund in every other HFA in the country if we can.
Really?
It's so successful here.
Great.
We should call it the New York Clean
Yeah.
Energy. And then registered it as a trademark.
Yes, we're rebranding it the Clean Air Initiative because that's consistent with our standard and our application. But thank you for all the hard work in creating a program that gets it right. Climate United, but it is, thank you for creating it.
Here, but you get
Making it as simple as possible to get these buildings to the highest standard. So
That's great.
that's off to HFA.
There you go.
You guys are
Thank you, Katie. So thank you for the aside there, Alex, to bring it. Number 5 is a resolution approving quarterly bond sale reports for the period commencing February 1st, 2023 and ending on April 30th, 2023. And for the period ending on July 31st, 2023, so our spring and summer, if you will, bond sale reports. This is a key report provided in accordance with the agency's bond sale guidelines and provides much valuable detail on the agency's bond sales during these periods. Again, let's pause and see if anyone has any questions for the team, for James.
So James used to do this.
That's
but
what I'm
this is
saying. This
now-
used to be his report.
This is now Mark, and as you said, Ken, this is a really important report because it gives the board details on the bond deals that really fund our programs. You don't see the bond deals other than through this report, and it has a lot of information that debt issuance puts together with the FAs. James is very aware of this, and it sometimes slips through because sort of like it's a very bulky document, and
Ton of work.
I kind of always put something in the outline to make sure that Ken said something.
Boldface that right.
I think you should put something in the report to make
Well,
sure we've read it.
it's super important.
It's a very,
These are at I don't know, $680 million or something? No, more than that. I don't have it in front of me, but it was,
Not the
even a
largest
lot.
issuers in the country,
it
right?
was, yes, well, after HUD.
Well,
But it might even be, someone do the math, it might have been 800 between Fannie Mae mortgage-backed bond sales, right? Mortgage bonds, and the other affordable housing bonds, right? So the two together are, there. I actually will pause on this a second. This may come up again later, obviously, Sunny May, but the details about the lead managers, co-managers, and general managers,
Right.
where we get the opportunity for MWE firms to participate. I thought that interesting, very well presented, like super clear, the percentages, and then the explanation that, hey, fee that you get, right? If your sales don't go as well, but like you get a chance to market these bonds, and we do as much as I guess we're allowed to do to help people do that. And some of the MW firms succeed at that, and some don't succeed as much. And there's a, I don't know, technical assistance issue there, or a sophistication. The Citibank is the lead, right? Or Wells Fargo, et cetera. But anyway, I thought the details were very clear and helpful to understand how that gets us to our MWB procurement goals around this important part of our work.
Mark, did you want to say something or
Yeah, somebody help me out.
Mark?
Well, I'm happy to take any questions, but, hi, Mark Price.
Riff on what I was riffing on, Mark. In other words, and how do you feel about our success at engaging smaller and MWE firms? And I should say, I'm not sure there are any SWBOB.
I think there's one, right?
Service.
No, there are a few.
Yeah.
There are a few. Just as a general matter, we have a qualified panel of bond underwriting firms. We have a set who are qualified to be a lead manager for our transactions. And if you are eligible to be a lead manager for a transaction, you can also be slotted in as what we call a co-senior. Typically, it means you will take on a higher underwriting liability in the bond sale. So if there is a sale that doesn't go well, those firms that are the senior managers and co-senior managers will take on more liability. And then we have a panel of co-managers. So they can also participate in the syndicate. Typically, they will have a smaller liability in the transaction. It's really the lead manager that does the lion's share of the work during the sale, and all of the orders are routed through the lead manager firm. So to riff a little bit on what you were talking about in terms of smaller firms or some of the minority firms that participate, or other business disadvantaged firms, whether or not that's SDVOB, which is the service disabled veterans owned firms, or MWBs or MBEs, WBs, so minority business enterprises, women business enterprises. Those firms, like other firms, tend to be at a disadvantage when they are not the lead manager, since all the orders are routed through the lead manager. Investors typically like to put their orders through the lead manager on a deal than other firms in syndicate, because investors feel like they'll be treated better when those lead managed firms lead manage other deals. And so my take on this is that we have a panel of very qualified firms at each level. I think the minority-owned firms, women-owned firms, the veterans-owned firms, when we can put them in positions to be a co-senior manager or a lead manager. We have 2 MWBE firms that are qualified to be lead managers. We should look to do that, put them in that lead seat, because then orders will be routed through those firms. And then we can really see how they interact with the investor community and what they can bring to the table. So that's what we've been looking at with the team since I've been here. I think we've had some participation by those types of firms. And I will say the October resolution of HFA was led by a minority-owned firm, and in a difficult market, we had a very good outcome.
What firm was that?
That was Ramirez.
I was going to say Ramirez, Siebert, there are a few of those that are always.
That's correct.
We say that
That's correct.
the senior firms who get a lot of work.
Yes.
It's another tier, if you will,
That's right.
of the smaller firms that are.
That's Chair, it is Ramirez and Siebert, two MWBE firms who are qualified in our panel to be a lead manager.
So,
And then we have several who are qualified to be a co-manager.
and nothing against those two firms have done a lot of work with us over the years, but so get firms at the lower tier up to that level that they're at, if they can get to that level, the better, right?
Absolutely. The current panel is in place, I think, until 2026. So, this is a relatively new panel. So level best to rotate firms, try firms out in different positions to give them that opportunity to prove their mettle, as it were.
That's super helpful, Mark. Any questions from me? Thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you, Alex, for reminding us that Mark's right here to answer the questions. Ruth Ann brought them up. Thanks a lot. Anything else?
The swap reports are there as well. I don't know if you want me to stick around for that or
That was an information item.
information. Perfect.
But since he's at the chair, anyone have any questions about the
Give us
hedges?
some more information.
Sure. So I think Alex did a good job talking about what's in the swap reports in terms of, and why we present those. I think swaps, not to be sort of gauche, but swap is a four-letter word in financial parlance these days. But really, I think we have to understand what we do as far as bond programs. All of our bonds are backed by loans that we provide to borrowers, whether that's in a single-family program or a multifamily program. And because of the nature of that, we are different than most other bond issuers that we see around the state, right? Our debt is backed by mortgage loans. And because of that, we are very, very interest rate driven. Everything that we do in terms of profitability for the programs that we have, and not profitability because of greed, but profitability so we can be a going concern and give the support for the missions of the agencies. It's very important that we have all of the financial tools at our disposal, which allows us to use floating rate debt and then hedge out that risk on the floating rate debt and arrive at a better cost of capital. And so I think what you'll see in the swap reports that are in the board packet, there is sort of a bottom line number there that tracks the benefit of having used that swap in that structure over time. And on the SONYMA side, that benefit through the end of Q3 was $27.5 million. So had we used a traditional fixed rate structure, more. And so I think that shows that it was prudent. It's worked well. I think the other thing to look at on that report, I think where the reason why swaps became that four-letter word is because when there was the big financial crisis, financial institutions were going out of business. A lot of those contracts needed to be canceled, and they had to be canceled, quote unquote, at market, whatever the value of the contract was. It happened in a very low interest rate environment. When rates are low, typically the mark to market on those swaps is against us. Well, we're in a high now, mark to market on those swaps. They are in our favor. And so the bottom line on that is on the single family side, the mark to market on the swaps was 18.3 million as of the end of Q3. So that's in our favor. If we were to cancel those swaps today, those swap providers would have to pay us $18 million. And on the multifamily side, it's actually 30.6 million. So from those swaps are in the money to us, which means if we cancel the swaps, payments would be coming to us. That's great, but we also need to be sort of sober about that. If somebody would owe us money, that means we have exposure to them, which means we have credit risk to those swap providers. And what we try to do is make sure that we have a diversity of swap providers in our portfolio. They all have to meet minimum ratings requirements. So we keep tabs on those sorts of risks as well.
Whoever put on those multifamily swaps did a good job.
Who was that?
There's somebody in this room who loves that.
You don't know the guy, do you?
That there was a swap put on at a sub 1% environment and.
I do love that one.
It is a
and-
good one. I think it's amazing, like the fact that the agency was able to lock in 85 basis points on a long-term swap as a, this one was a great trade.
That was a good call.
Way to go, James.
All right, keep going.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mark,
thank you.
thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Super helpful. Good to see you.
No problem. Take
Thanks
care.
for all the
Thank
good
you.
work. Yep. It's you.
Now before the HFA members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously reported, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Resolution adopted.
Thank you, Diana. But we're going to now take up items that require HFA Finance and Program Committee action and HFA member action. Number 6, resolution of the Finance and Program Committee and of the HFA members recommending and approving the issuance of tax exempt under taxable in an amount not to exceed $26,560,000 and an amount not to exceed $15,766,454 in HFA subsidy and an amount not to exceed $1,170,000 in NYSERDA Clean Energy Initiative. There you go again. Funding for the Court Street Apartments project, which is in Binghamton, Broome County.
We have a new presenter.
We do.
Wow.
My goodness, and you're not even in Albany or Binghamton for that matter. You're right
New
here.
York City, born and bred.
Huh?
Item 5. No, item 5 was the,
Well, but on the,
oh, are we misaligned on the board book?
yeah, just slightly,
Okay.
just slightly. So look, on the board book, if you look, it's the Court Street Apartments.
Right.
Something must be off in the numbering. We'll catch up.
Yep.
Now, let's
Thanks
put
for-
these things in here.
Thank you
Sorry
for,
about that.
thank you for flagging that
Get the start.
choice. Okay,
That's where I
great.
get paid
Well,
for.
let's have a brief discussion of or review of this plan.
This is Michelle Canizio.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi,
Thank
Michelle Canizio, AVP in the Finance and Development Department.
Great.
Actually worked on Court Street with the underwriter Aaron, so I'm going to be presenting it today. So Court Street Apartment is a supportive housing project that consists of the site acquisition, historical adaptive reuse of an office and warehouse, and a new construction of a 100% affordable 4-story building. This project is located in Binghamton, Broome County. The project will have 111 affordable residential units serving households earning 60% of the area median income. This project has a really interesting history, and that history will continue here. Beginning in 1947 and concluding in 2011, the Disabled Incorporated and Rehabilitation Services Incorporated provided job training and employment and medical care to local residents with physical and mental disabilities. As a result, the site is recognized for architecture and dedicated use as the central operations of these organizations. The site is eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places as one of the 3 rare and intact streamlined modern factory buildings included in the industrial resources of Broome County. The project will continue to serve vulnerable populations with 60 apartments set aside for individuals and families who suffer from substance abuse challenges, severe mental illness, and homeless veterans. There will be rental and operating subsidy provided by the ESHI program, with the service providers being Helio Health, who is also the owner and a nonprofit who specializes serving these vulnerable populations, and Eagle Star Housing. There is a significant number of studio and 1-bedroom units to support the populations receiving the ESHI award. The project will include removing a section of the non-historical significant building to create a courtyard inside the building for residents. The building will also have a common area space to provide support services. The project will include 88 parking spots for residents, and the project will also have electric car station parking spots. The project's sustainability features include all electric systems. This project is a NYSERDA Clean Energy Award application that's being reviewed. As an update, the project has changed LOC banks and will be partnering with Citibank instead of JP Morgan Chase. This project achieves agency goals, including addressing specific local needs and supporting vulnerable populations. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. We don't often see a project of this size in Binghamton, downtown Binghamton, 111 units, right?
Yeah.
A big, really good, big project.
Yeah,
Actually done a couple of good deals in Binghamton. It's really great to see. A couple of other adaptive uses from the camera factory, and the other was, we did the Paulus.
Was there another big factor?
Yeah, a couple of big factories. So it's great to see more happening there. And one of the things that struck me, one of those was the county executive saying that they can't get businesses to come to Binghamton because people have nowhere to live. So when you create housing, it really helps stimulate other activities. So
and in 2011, I'm sure there was a gap for these vulnerable populations and services, and now they're filling that gap again, which is great.
more housing of all kinds is needed.
There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great. Well, thank you very much. Any questions for Michelle? Let's,
Okay, now,
The other
now,
thing, Ken, just real quick on all, and I think on all the variable, the deals today, we're authorizing all these different types of debt. I think the one thing that's important is like, kind of piggybacking on the swap report, is that swaps are sort of a lot of times funded with variable rate debt. And there's been some real challenges in the, I'm concerned a little bit, they just settled on a lawsuit around the variable rate market. New York's involved. The swap market is a very liquid market. The variable rate market has had a lot of problems where I think, like, for example, this agency got pretty burned at the beginning of the pandemic, for example, on dislocation in the market. That wasn't our fault. So I'm fine to authorize all this, but I think, like, I don't know where the agency is on sort of policing its variable rate debt, but I think there's been some real structural challenges in the market that have impacted, a lot of public agencies, whether it's not just our agency. We just happen to have north of $10 billion or something, or $12 billion of exposure. So it's just something, this has nothing to do with the project itself. It's more on the debt side of being cognizant about the risks in the variable rate market. And I don't know if, like, how we're approaching that. It's separate than the project itself.
So I just wanted to note here that this is mimicking Troy that closed in October.
Yeah.
Where we realized that Court Street 1,000 and less. So we realized the Court Street cannot afford a first mortgage with bonds at 7% interest. So even if it was a minimum of $1 million, it just destroyed the cash flow, quite frankly. So we made the first mortgage subsidy of $700,000 funded by SHOP.
That's fine.
Yeah, so
Okay.
just recognizing that this building was in a vulnerable position. in
That's
terms
fine.
of
I totally get that. I'm just more concerned about the
Mr.
variable
Rutan,
rate
what do you
market
think?
generally and how it impacts this agency.
Yeah, so it's a big picture question.
Yeah.
Bring Mark back, or?
Bring Mark back to talk about policing variable rate debt. Sort of funny phrase.
Good question.
Sure. So if I understand you, your question is about how we police the risk inherent in the variable rate debt market?
Yeah, it just, like, generally, like, like, for example, in the beginning of the pandemic, this agency did a deal where it was like, I remember when we had to come in front of the board to do this, we asked for all this authorization to do this. Our variable rate was, for example, at 6% when, like, the swap market was at 0. And, like, there was a disconnect because of the remarketing agents and the work that the banks were doing that were providing us versus this is very not this project related, but more that we overpaid in interest, in my opinion, on sort of based on sort of the way the market was behaving.
Sure. So I think the 2 points I'll make now, and then as I'm talking, if I think of more, I'll say those two. But one, on the swap report, that benefit analysis of the swap over time that I mentioned, it's really a benefit analysis of using synthetic fixed rate. So the swap plus variable rate. In that report, we look at basis risk. I know you know what basis risk is, but for some of the uninitiated, basis risk is that risk that we are receiving a floating rate on a swap to hedge out the risk on the variable rate interest we're paying on the bonds. The floating rate from the swap may be slightly different than the floating rate we pay on the bonds. That difference is what we refer to as basis risk. So that's certainly something that we track. Certainly, there are points in time when there may be an interim reset. A lot of our floating rate debt resets on a weekly basis. And so there may be these fluctuations where I think as you're mentioning, the interest rate on the bonds was very, interest rate on the swap receipts we were getting was very low. So there was that basis mismatch. So we do track that.
Yeah.
So there is that monitoring that's in effect. The other thing is we get a sense of how our remarketing agents, these are the banks who handle the periodic resets of our floating rate debt. We get a sense of how they're performing, especially when we look at what we call liquidity expirations. So there are certain facilities that we have to put in place every time we do variable rate debt. Those facilities expire before the maturity of the bonds. So on a rolling basis, we have to renew those agreements. Every time there's a renewal, that gives us an opportunity to look at everybody who's servicing our floating rate debt. We can see what their performance is either on the remarketing side or how that paper trades with that particular bank's liquidity facility. So that's another opportunity for us to monitor that performance.
And on SONYMA, we have the ALCO policy.
Yeah.
That sort of puts a limit on the amount of variable rate debt that we have in percentage and the amount that we can have without a swap. So there are two limits, right? Unhedged and hedged. So we're well within the limits, James. And like we're doing variable data in this deal that we're issuing now, but we're swapping the debt and we're always wary of using it.
I'm just more worried, like, I'm not worried about like the hedging. I think we do a good job. I'm more worried about market fundamentals with variable rate debt. The fact that like what banks are doing on the other side to create and other things impact our programs, which create like, they push to us, which isn't always necessarily.
Yeah, I share your concerns about that being a potential risk. I think one of the strongest things that we can do, I think my response was based on the different things we do to monitor.
Absolutely.
But the value and the benefit of that monitoring is essential.
Yeah.
I think you and I both know, having worked at some of these large financial institutions, how some of these are made, and being very much sort of at the table and on top of things and making that phone call. Hey, I saw how you remarketed our bonds last week.
Yeah.
That seemed a little off from the market.
Yeah.
Phone calls and monitoring like that actually do go a long way. So
Exactly. And it's sometimes
stay on top of this.
absolutely that it should be a transparent market
That's
that
right.
people are doing. And that's where the concern comes in.
Yes,
Okay.
and I am fully aware of certain products that are out there in the market that
Fair enough.
are designed to help with that transparency.
Okay. That said, the project's great.
James,
And we're not overburdening it with
This is turning
A lot
into a
of debt.
bond meeting.
thank you. Well, it's November and we have reports and we have this top report.
Okay.
This is item 6. Michelle presented it. Any other questions? James, you're not allowed any more questions. Let's do it.
Okay, now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA and for the Finance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
Let's go to 7. Resolutions of the Finance and Program Committee members recommending and approving the issuance of tax exempt or taxable fixed, or maybe not, variable rates. Variable rates in an amount not to exceed $30,550,000 and an amount not to exceed $8,124,530 HFA subsidy, and an amount not to exceed $955,000 in ESD downtime revitalization funds. Love seeing that. And an amount not to exceed $1,025,000 in NYSERDA. We like this too. Clean Energy Initiative funding for the Harrison Place Loft Project in Lockport, Niagara County. Back to you.
Great project, yeah, with a lot of history. So Harrison Place Lofts will use the agency investment to finance the acquisition and adaptive reuse of a historical 3-story formerly industrial building in Lockport, Niagara County. When completed, the building will include 82 affordable housing, rental units, commercial spaces, a community facility, and off-site parking. The project will serve households earning between 70% AMI. The unit mix will include 72 one-bedrooms and 10 two-bedrooms, and there will be an artist preference for 41 units. The adaptive reuse of this building is supported by a downtown revitalization initiative due to the historical significance of the Harrison Radiator factory. The factory was part of a complex which by 1923 was expanded to include 3 buildings. And from 1923 to the 1960s, the factory has produced automotive radiators, and NASA. And the factory closed ultimately in 1987. Today, 2 of the 3 buildings in the complex house over 50 commercial businesses and employs over 250 people. However, Building 3, or the former Harrison Radiator Factory, remains vacant and underutilized. Building 3 will now be the Harrison Place Lofts, and the apartments will be designed around the large atrium, supplying the interior apartments with ample natural light. The upper floors of the building will provide the bulk of the residential units. The floor will feature commercial space along with some additional residential units. The commercial spaces will be for restaurant and retail tenants, and the community facility space will be designated as a local farmers market, and this will be supported by the DRI award of $955,000. The project will have a geothermal system for heating and cooling domestic hot water and has applied to NYSERDA's initiative. The project will also have electric car station parking spots. The project achieves several agency goals, including addressing specific local housing needs and promoting community revitalization. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Very interesting project. Questions?
It's just going to add that it also addresses our goals of getting to all electric.
Absolutely.
Climate goals as well.
We should add that in the agency note.
It's a great project.
Yeah.
A thought that probably never occurred, 80 years ago when they were making radiators for airplanes and other things, right? The site was really, really contaminated. Told to believe it's been fully cleaned up, but it's.
Yeah, and they have brownfield tax credits.
Right,
So-
right.
And they have historic tax credits as well for the historical significance.
Yeah. So interesting. Any other questions? Great.
My turn.
Your
Great.
turn.
Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are resolutions that was transferred and decided. Assuming the first and second previously entered HFA into the Finance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
Great, by the way, just because they're fun to look at and helpful. Great job in the write-up in terms of the render,
The pictures are great.
the what this hopefully will look like.
That really gets me
No,
excited.
it doesn't look like that today.
Yeah.
So very good. Thank you. Diana, let's move on. What do you say? Okay, let's go to 8. Resolutions Finance Program Committee, HFA members recommending approving the issuance of tax exempt or taxable fixed rate variable rate bonds in an amount not to exceed $34,985,000 and amount not to exceed $14,902,643 in HFA subsidy funds and an amount not to exceed $1,837,500 in NYSERDA Clean Energy Initiative funding for the Main Street Lost Project in Buffalo, Erie County. So we had a Main Street project. Didn't we already have a Main Street project? Yeah, we did.
No, we're going out of order. I think it's confusing.
Well, was it Main Street, was the project in Pinkham?
Oh, in the past.
You see, every town happens to have a Main Street, so you get that, you get projects on Broadway, Main Street, right?
that Wood Street here?
Court Street, everybody has a Court Street, this is how it works.
Yep.
It's an old state, lots of old municipalities. So, good morning,
Morning.
who are you?
I am a team member of the F&D department.
And thank you.
My name is Terrence.
Very nice to meet you, thank you.
Same here.
Yeah, good to have you. All right, you're gonna tell us about this project?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So Main Street Loft is a site acquisition and new construction of 147 units. The project will comprise of 3 buildings. There's a main building with 140 units housing the 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom units. And then there will be 3-bedroom units in 2 separate townhouse buildings. All the buildings will be affordable to family earning 60% of AMI or below, and then 15% below 50% AMI. And amenities will include a community space, outdoor space and playground, 7 service parking spaces, a fitness center, high-speed broadband internet connection, indoor bicycle storage, and then a resident storage indoor. The site is in the Cold Springs neighborhood of Buffalo. It is on a several public bus routes. Within walking distance, there are several commercial services, including supermarkets, restaurants, places for worships, schools. The project has been awarded for CEI funding. And the sustainability features would include solar panels, efficient electric heat pump, hot water boilers, and HVAC systems. In addition to the HCR funding, the project will also leverage a pilot from the city of Buffalo, and then also brownfield tax credit, equity, and then a sponsor loan in a amount of $950,000. The borrower entity is a joint venture between the Pivotal Housing Partners and the Belmont Housing Resources. Belmont has extensive experience with the agency as a developer and also as a management agent.
Great, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Questions?
I have a question.
Right.
In terms of the unit distribution here, unit size,
Yes.
it's overwhelmingly one bedroom.
There are 88 one bedrooms, 52 two bedrooms, and 7 3 bedrooms.
Right. And I'm just wondering, why was it, do you have any idea why it was designed this way? Why there are so many one bedrooms as opposed to family-sized units?
The project is located to several employers, several hospitals, a university campus, and I believe that is the market demand on the market study that they come up with.
It's a big project too.
Yeah.
A lot of units, a lot of units. Yeah. All right.
Nice looking.
Yeah.
It's Buffalo.
That's an important investment.
Every, it was important.
Great. Any other questions? If not, let's move the item.
Okay. Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA and Finance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Director, 1 second, I would just introduce, because you guys probably don't see everyone all at once, but Russell and Michelle and Terrence and Emilio, raise your hand. This is our sort of like dream team, senior team on the 4% bond. This is the leadership team. So you don't always sort of see them, I think, all together and doing, but so.
We see Russell.
Asked about Terrence.
We
I just
see
wanted
Russell
to-
all the time,
You don't see them all
but
together.
we
here,
don't
so
know. You're all here
yeah.
together.
In one room.
It's
Yeah, all
great.
in one room, all in one
Great to
place.
have you
We're
here.
Name to face all the
Yeah,
folks that are managing all the underwriters and managing all these deals.
Well, it's great to have you all here, and it's nice, Ruth Ann, to have different people present. We love Russell's presentation, but it's good for him to share the microphone, right? And we get to know more members of the
Yes.
team, and thank you for your great work, which we do.
Well, speaking of, I think Russell's going to do the next one, right?
So we'll leave one for Russell.
Did we get to say, the motions are carried and the resolutions adopted?
Have we, no, we have to, first we have to vote.
No,
We just voted.
We just
We-
voted. but I didn't
Great, so
say,
why don't you say that?
Oh,
first?
sorry, I interrupted.
okay, assuming
The
the.
commissioner got in the way.
No, it's all very important to recognize the team, very important. Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA and for the Finance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Resolutions adopted.
Well done. Thank you, Ruth Ann. Thank you, Diana. Number 9, we're going to come from actually across the state from Buffalo to Brooklyn, Erie County to Kings County. Resolutions of the Finance and Program Committee and the HFA members recommending approving the issuance of tax exempt and or taxable fixed or variable rate bonds in an amount not to exceed $44,880,000 and an amount not to exceed $17,051,608 in HFA subsidy funds for the Marcus Garvey Extension Phase 2 Building G project in Brooklyn, Kings County. Russell's going to do this one.
Okay, thank you. I usually present preservation projects, so it's kind of exciting for me to be presenting a brand new baby. Though there's a bit of preservation to the story, which I like to inject. Marcus Garvey Housing Development in Brownsville. It's a stalwart of the neighborhood. It was named after the famous Jamaican political activist. The original Marcus Garvey Apartments were created as Mitchell-Lama housing in the 70s, 1974, a massive 625-unit development that spans 7 blocks in the neighborhood of Brownsville. It was one of the first, when HFA inherited a bunch of ESD Mitchell-Lama.
We bought them, we didn't inherit it. No, I don't think Diana and I were on the other side of that deal, and I'm sure we got our money's worth.
They got a good deal because these guys were on the other side, but
Getting bought them.
Listen,
Let the record reflect we did not
let-
inherit them.
let the record reflect, it was a good deal for the New York State taxpayer, and that's what we're, all here for.
Clarify, I inherited the work of getting these projects refinanced. This is probably the biggest one we did in 2014 when we refinanced a lot of these Mitchell-Lamas. One of the interesting things that we did was that we set up, L&M acquired the property. They did a wonderful job rehabilitating it, and did a lot of the early energy and efficiency measures that we now kind of see as commonplace. They acquired vacant parcels surrounding this project, with the idea that there's going to be future development on them, and they're going to create additional affordable housing. So they acquired the property, and it was this was 10 years ago. So over the past few years, they did the first phase of a new development that was building B, D, and F in 2019. Those are 348 new units of affordable housing that were created, with 104 units of supportive housing under the rezoning that was allowed through the ULURP process and New York City mandatory inclusionary housing. Those buildings we financed in 2019. They just recently converted, I think back in August. They're some of the first to employ the type of energy efficiency measures that we now see, notably a closed loop geothermal system temperature to heat and cool the buildings. These buildings reached, like I said, just a couple of months ago. So now we come to the next phase. This is Marcus Garvey Building G. This will be an 8-story building with 108 units for low-income families at or below 70% of the area median income, plus a supers unit. Mandatory inclusionary housing will be required here as well in concert with the ULURP rezoning. The New York City 1515 program will be utilized to support supportive services for 55 of the units, which will be administered by Services of the Underserved. The building will also feature an indoor and outdoor recreation space, a gym, bicycle storage, free Wi-Fi, and to residents and in the common areas, as well as 19 parking spaces for residents. Building further upon the energy efficiency measures, Building G will be designed all electric, rooftop solar array, a geothermal system for heating and cooling, highly efficient domestic hot water systems, Energy Star appliances, and energy efficient lighting. The solar and geothermal features, incidentally, will qualify the project for federal solar investment tax credits and federal geothermal investment tax credits. That will generate approximately $2.26 million in equity into the project to help offset the upfront construction costs. From a financing perspective, the project is quite efficient. Its maximization of tax credit equity and use of our subsidy just slightly over our term sheet threshold, with the foresight to build in the acquisition structure nearly 10 years ago, makes it a very streamlined and financially efficient project. There's very little acquisition costs. They're just $240,000 to redeem the original bonds that were issued in 2014. The development team is virtually the same who did the previous phase. L&M has partnered with the agency on several high-profile affordable housing projects over the years. We expect to see that continued success and efficiency here with Building G, as well as future phases of this ambitious and thoughtful redevelopment of affordable housing in Brownsville, Brooklyn. Thank you.
Great. Big importance. And yeah, we haven't really probably talked about it since 2019, right?
Yeah.
Last time we saw this. Questions?
Just 2 questions. First, it's a great project. I think what's interesting about L&M, for example, is that they have in-house a fantastic sustainability person in Laura Humphrey. And I think the question is, does this create a gap between an L&M and doing, high quality projects and efficiency projects versus other developers that may not have that in-house expertise? And I don't know if that's sort of an observation, but the second thing is on the acquisition cost. I remember in 2019 on that transaction, there was actually a no acquisition cost because it had been acquired as part of the 14. I remember there had to be a redemption of like the back-to-back bonds. And I'm curious about the acquisition cost on this one, is whether there's any.
It's the same.
It's the same.
It's the same thing. They're redeeming $240,000 worth of the original bond issuance. So there's technically no acquisition cost, but we're including the 240,000 in our acquisition line.
Okay.
But yeah, they acquired the building and the sites back in 2014.
Remember, James, that actually came up in the transaction here as the redemption.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge challenge to
Yep,
be able to do with city. So, okay, I wasn't sure because I remember in the old memo or the old kind, it was like no acquisition costs versus this one which shows an acquisition cost. I don't know if that's, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they have to redeem bonds. We have to sort of find a place to put that line in our budget. So we kind of consider it part of the overall acquisition.
Okay.
I think to your first question, having the technical capacity at the state and Samantha.
Yeah.
And a bigger team for her now too, definitely helps the developer on the other side.
Yeah.
And I think given all the federal dollars coming into energy and climate, developers are just gonna have to make the investment.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to hire, construction management companies and others who have the expertise.
Project has an energy consultant,
Okay.
whether it be new construction or preservation, it's a part of the team that they have to have.
Okay.
Can I ask you about the solar geothermal tax credits and how, were those like fairly easy to work in? Since we don't see those like a ton.
Yeah, I think it's new. It's based on the new investment, the Infrastructure Act. I think it's connected to that. So it's not something we've seen previously, but I imagine we'll be seeing more of that. L&M was able to qualify pretty easily.
And it worked, it was like easy to work in, given all the other.
Yeah, they allow, there's a certain, you have to deduct from the regular federal tax credit basis to make it work, but,
Okay.
yeah. But, it's generating a lot of, like I said, 2.2 million.
Great.
I think around that, as more credits, I mean, actually with the shift to perhaps direct pay on some of this stuff, a bridge financing program may need to have to be sort of developed in order to sort of bring forward that money, even though the direct pay comes in later, so that it sort of has to be structured the same as a tax credit, but that may be something that has to be considered by the agency in the future, is some bridge financing program around the direct pay for projects.
Yeah, I think there's also a lot of work to be done around how to blend all they call it now grading of all these federal resources, and Nova Braddock and other organizations are on it to try and create an efficient way for people to navigate all the sources. It's a little nutty, but we're so used to it in affordable housing that we don't resist it enough. We just accept it and then figure out how to use it rather than saying this is wildly inefficient. How do we make this easier?
Yeah.
So we'll figure it out. People are figuring it out. Doesn't surprise anyone that L&M got there first. They're quite expert at everything, so they'll pave the way and then others will just follow along. It's just the way it's done.
Yeah, we're expecting to see another building come in I think first quarter next year, if we can get it ready in time. Their next phase after this, see how we kind of continue.
That would be F. What are they not going alphabetical order?
Yeah.
So I have a question about the parking requirement of the ULURP, and I think this is always, a New York City, a unique New York City issue. So 109 units, 19 parking spaces required in the zoning. I mean, think of what could have been done with that space, parks, open space. So, are we off the record? No. Sadie, what's your take on that? Like these parking requirements?
Are they service parking? I forget here.
It's resident parking.
Only parking, 19 parking spaces. This is Livonia Street on the 3.
I think you have to give people the option if they want to own a car. It seems like a lot to me, a lot of spaces, and certainly something else could have been done. When the units are under the building, parking, that's one thing, but to use surface for parking is.
But I mean, there's a court, each of these projects has a kind of small courtyard for 109 units, right? And I'm not
Can't
far.
get everywhere in the subway though, so.
I know. And this is a neighborhood. No, it's not that well served by my
Right.
friends. Honestly, no. I mean, you have 3.
I just hope there's EV charging at some point that gets.
Yeah, we require, a minimal amount of at least a standard for, I forget how many spaces have to be electric, but we require that in our design guidelines now for new
You have
construction.
to provide that option as well. Because if we transition and the only people driving electric cars are rich people, that's a huge
Right.
problem. So
Right.
I'm shout out for including the charge
Mhm.
and the solar. It's a great project.
Free broadband.
Free
Yes.
broadband, checking a lot of boxes here.
Yeah. All right. And by the way, has SUS is a service provider? There's, I used to think, I thought in the write-up there was a typo because it used to be SUS, like now it's S. They paid a marketing firm that's not for profit, millions of dollars. So that's going to do a rebranding. What is rebranding after all
The colon.
they got a colon from, and a slash or something like that. All this. No, it's a great organization. I know from, Brooklyn over. I just wanted to know, you guys maybe don't know this, but have they worked with L&M before?
Yeah, they've partnered with them, I think,
They're on BDC.
on the Vital Brooklyn project that
Okay.
we did, BDC, yeah.
Yeah, no, SUS is a great agency, does great work, but it's also, it's interesting to see how the combinations of, big developers like L&M, like who their favorite providers are. And if those relationships work out long-term. Well,
Oh, and they're a co-developer here too, not just a service. provider.
Right, yeah. So they actually have an interest.
yeah, thanks.
They should be. I appreciate when they're brought in as a co-developer versus just a name on a piece of paper to help
Right.
get an award.
Right.
They should be able to participate in the economics.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee, a resolution is to be adopted that will transmit in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA and for the finance team. Aye.
Aye, great. Number 10, and again, Joyce had flagged this before, we're back on the agenda now with Main Street, and it's all squared away. 10 is a resolution authorizing the making of a new construction program subsidy loan in the amount of $15,200,000 for the Sunlight Lane Apartments project in Geneva, Ontario County. Beautiful.
You abstain from this one?
Okay.
Okay.
See,
But-
fair enough.
Abstain.
I'm not sure who's presenting. Is Bert?
Is-
Hi, everybody. This is Madeline. I'm presenting this one. Hey,
Okay,
I'm
hi,
a
Madam, good
company.
morning.
good morning. Sunlight Lane is a unique one. It's not a small buildings program. We're actually proposing this, as you just said, Ken, under the new construction program. Sunlight Lane is a planned 78-unit net zero rental complex in Geneva, New York. The project is proposed to be funded under the new construction program. The units will support local housing needs with low and moderate income housing for the area and contribute to some of the ongoing revitalization efforts that have been happening in Geneva. Consisting of 36 one and 42 two-bedroom units that are affordable to households at 60, 70, and 80% AMI. This mix actually reflects the relatively small average household size in the area, which I think is less than 3 persons per household. The total cost of the project is just over $29 million, with just over half of that coming from our subsidy at $15,210,000 total, or $195,000 per unit. This project was originally planned as a moderate rent market project. It was undertaken by sort of an emerging developer in the area who's doing some really innovative things around net zero modular housing. He had had some early success with single family clustered work, as well as some smaller scale rental housing, all net zero, all really lovely. But when he took on sort of this larger 78 unit effort, some mounting challenges from the get-go around cost and capacity made continuing to build the project impossible. It got about a little over halfway through the first of the 3 buildings in the project. It's 3 26-unit buildings. So as when CPC, who's the original construction lender, and the developer sort of, acknowledged that they needed to press pause, as part of a negotiated strategy, Home Leasing has now stepped in as the proposed owner developer. They would take title as part of the construction closing transaction. They would also serve as the property manager and the general contractor. CPC would stay in as a construction and permanent loan maker. In addition, they would be holding a subordinate long-term note that would help absorb some of the excess costs associated with sort of the challenges that came up throughout this longer development process. Because it's net zero, the project will also have green incentives such as solar credits, a Building of Excellence Award. And because there is such a significant need for this type of workforce housing in the immediate area, Ontario County has also, their IDA has approved a 30-year shelter rent pilot. Because of its location on Seneca Lake, because there's a lot of colleges and universities in the immediate vicinity, the housing market is really overwhelmed by luxury and short-term rentals in addition to student housing. So there's a lot of interest locally to offer high-quality workforce housing for the people who are working at all these institutions. They often have to travel quite a bit distance to get an affordable rental apartment. So this is sort of a nice addition to the mix in the area that would offer people the opportunity to both live and work in this very nice community. The $195,000 per unit request from the new construction program involves two exceptions to the term sheet. One is to exceed the standard per unit award, and the other is to waive the interest and servicing fee. Because we were trying to minimize the subsidy request, waiving those fees and that interest helps us maximize the potential private debt here and to minimize our per unit request. But because this project is ready to build, it'll create super high quality net zero housing on a very short time schedule. The need for the housing, the generally reasonable per unit development cost under 375,000 per unit. I think this streamlined single source approach does offer the agency an opportunity, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Madeline.
So
Madeline, thanks very much.
370 that's listed, the 371 that's listed, that is like stop and start together into the 370 cost. Because I mean, that's
It's easy, you mean?
yeah. Because I mean, that's significantly lower than what we're seeing a lot of, and a lot of that have to do with the modular construction that's taking place. I mean, that seems like much lower than a lot of the other projects that we're focusing on.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty reasonable. They're switching over to a panelized system. They were originally working with the original developer was working on modular. He had a small modular factory. But yeah, we've really shaved every potential cost, every fee. The developer fee is extremely small. So they really sort of put their all into shrinking costs as much as possible.
Yeah, it's great to see that price considerably.
Yeah, it's considerably lower
Yeah.
than the original developer, and then when home leasing came in, it got more expensive, understandably, but that was part of the problem with the original developer. He way under budgeted when we hit the wall with him. So the $4 million B note is actually a loss. So we appreciate very much that the state is working on creating this affordability and has gone through and thank you, Madeline, going through what's been a very long process.
It's an interesting project, and I think it'll be great.
So it's a great solution here.
Good. Thank you from the director who's recusing herself. Thank you, Madeline. Any other questions? Great project. Let's do it then.
Now before the HFA members is a resolution to be adopted that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA, say aye.
Aye.
I note that Director Sadie McCune is recused. The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Thank you all. The next item is a consent item. You can see it in your materials. It's number 11, a resolution approving a contract with what do we call them? Kmite Group. For the Kmite Group, thank you, for the provision of an assessment. No one has any concern with that. That's done. And now before the HFA members is a resolution to be adopted that was transmitted. Oh, no, that's you.
Now before, you can take over.
No.
Now before the HFA members is a resolution to be adopted that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The resolution is adopted.
Now we move the AHC consent item, which is item number 12 in the agenda. And it's a resolution authorizing the award of grant funds for certain projects. I'm going to take a moment.
I have a question. Was the last item a consent item or a voting item? I thought it was a voting.
Which one?
That Kmite?
Yeah, that's a voting item.
Oh, it is.
We did, we voted yes.
All right, sorry.
We
All right.
voted on that one.
Okay, got it.
And Dominic's report dated November 2nd, in the materials here, all of his awards. Wow. Well, this is cumulative, but as usual, he and his team have been busy. Everybody good with that? That's the AHC report. And that is a consent item, right?
Right.
Yep. All right, Diana, what do you
So
think?
now before AHC is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and seconds previously reported, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And the resolution adopted.
Thanks, everybody. Now, Diana's going to take some steps to take us into executive session.
Okay.
Is that true?
Yes.
How about that?
Yes, how about that?
I'd love to
I
know.
will ask for a motion in a second to go into executive session, according to section 105F of the Open Meetings Law to discuss the financial, credit, or employment history of a particular corporation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Second, okay. We are in executive session.
All right, give us a couple of minutes, so Lil,
We need Lil to
clear everybody out.
clear people. So folks know how much time they have to get a cup of coffee, Diana. How long or how long do you think this session's going to take, Alex?
You know what? I'm not really familiar with much of it, so.
Betsy's here. Betsy, how much time do you think we need?
10 minutes.
How fast
10
can
minutes.
you
Okay, no,
talk?
just so folks know,
I'm talking.
we welcome everybody
I'm
back at the end of the executive session. And, 10 to 15 minutes per Betsy,
Oh,
right?
yeah, I stand by it.
No, just so.
Good morning. I sent an email on to sign up. Who's not a list, please do so.
Good morning, B.
All right, Jason, you gonna keep me honest?
How are you?
Can move
Or
very
Betsy.
quickly.
I hear you're out of town. You're not exactly in Onondaga County right now.
No, I'm at Somos and it's freezing down here.
Wait a minute. How could be? It's only 10 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't.
Alex,
It's supposed to get crazy later, not now.
they're welcome to stay here.
The workshops are really well attended this year. So, yeah, there's a lot of traffic.
It is well attended, right?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Ken, my apologies. I didn't realize, I thought we were doing two different ones. So I think it will take actually 15 to 20 minutes.
Fine. Yeah, again, we're here, but I just,
No, I know.
everybody else,
I didn't realize,
that means people have time to go answer an email or whatever. So Betsy's estimating 15, 20 minutes for this executive session.
Go to an email or something.
Let somebody know.
No, you're part of the executive session. Hello, you can't go anywhere.
Ridiculous.
Can we start yet?
We have to wait, but let's wait till, wait, this big thing about going for coffee, and I never went myself.
Um,
Oh, well.
That's what I asked.
I don't want to miss your no, I'm here for your preamble.
Copy if you want. We're still waiting for people to exit the
No, let's keep going.
proverbial room.
Alex, Diane, are you good?
How do we know when we're in?
We got the right people?
I think Lil mentioned that.
Yeah.
Shut-
Hi, in Hampton, we're all set.
Okay.
The camera, it's a public broadcast.
What executive session?
The public broadcast is off, Alex, right? That's the
Yes,
part.
yes.
Okay, good.
Okay, so we are going to talk about technology.
Thanks for the heads up. Great report, very helpful. Let me take a
Lil,
little while.
I think Tina wanted to bring something else up in the executive session.
Yes.
So are we still?
Lil,
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Tom.
Lil, can you keep us in executive session? You're right.
Okay, under section.
Yeah, hold on.
Amy is going to
I-
join in a.
Just a quick one, Ken, I'm sorry.
Exec session.
Dina promised that this would be really quick.
Alex promised that. I made no such promise. Now we'll be.
Take your time.
It appears to still be recording, just a flag.
Oh,
Is that supposed to be true or not?
let's turn off.
Each board member to go back into public session. So motion second.
Second.
Okay, we are back in public session. No votes were taken in executive session.
Let's go to the HTFC agenda, and we may need an inch of time because we're behind to forego some presentations if we can do that, just to move through. One is the first item on the agenda is minutes of the board and audit committee meetings held on October 12th, 2023. Minutes should be deemed approved, absent corrections, members and directors. Everybody good with the minutes? Cool. Two, resolution authorizing a community investment fund award, First Columbia LLC, Bargain Grocery, Oh, this is where we do bargain grocery and then like a fitness center. So presumably in these communities, people can go, you know, get their food. I'm sorry to do this, Brett. I'm sorry to do this as quickly as possible.
Okay. Hi, folks. So we have two standalone CIF projects, Community Investment Funds. They're typically used for non-residential uses, as you can see. The first one is both are associated with this kind of multi-phase, large-scale redevelopment known as Flanagan Square. They're separate and distinct phases, however, which allows them to get two separate awards. The first is, as you mentioned, a 19 square foot grocery store. Look, these are both located in Troy. $2 million is the maximum award, and this area is noted by the USDA as a food desert. And the grocery store that will be there actually uses oversupplied food from other food outlets and collects them and offers them at a lower price to the community. And so there are several HCR apartment buildings in the area that would benefit from it.
I think we're all on board. Can you take care of this one, Diana, please?
Yes, we can. Now before the HTFC members is a resolution authorizing a community investment fund award for First Columbia LLC bargain grocery. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
So let's do number 3. Brett, tell us if you please about the Central Rock, first, same thing, First Columbia LLC, Central Rock Gym.
Okay, it's a different phase of the same large-scale redevelopment project located in Troy. This one's a little bit more difficult to see what the community benefit would be, although one could argue that a fitness center might have a community benefit. The fitness center actually is adjacent to a 72-unit residential development. 37 of the units the developer has committed to offer to 80% of AMI households and allow HCR to place a regulatory agreement against those units. Thus, that is the community benefit connection here. So for $2 million, the agency gets to put 37 units under regulation for our typical period of time, which is a very good buy from our perspective.
And never, don't forget the fitness of the residents of Troy.
Do they get,
Not a bad thing.
residents get?
Complicated. Hey, Brett, do the people who get the rent-regulated units get a discount on their gym membership?
I don't know that, but that's a great idea. Their benefit agreement.
McIntyre subsidy.
The McIntyre. And if they do, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, now before the HFC members is a resolution authorizing a community investment fund award for First Columbia LLC Central Rock Gym. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried, the resolution adopted.
4 is a resolution authorizing an affordable homeownership opportunity program award for the Buffalo Erie Niagara Land Improvement Corporation.
Hi, everyone. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Like looking at the TV screen. That's this guy. Okay.
Wonderful. So this is a $1.8 million in AHOP subsidy to support the construction of 12 homes in East Buffalo. All homes will be regulated at a sales price AMI of 100%. Actual prices equate to about 87% of AMI. All of them are 3 bedrooms and all sized at roughly 1,400 square feet. The sponsor here is Buffalo Erie Niagara Land Improvement Corporation, or BENLIC. It's the local land bank. And our participating lender here is Evans Bank, which is based in the region, super well versed in the local market, and which is working on another project that we're bringing up through the pipeline in Buffalo. The lots in question are being transferred without cost to BENLIC from the city of Buffalo. They're all currently vacant. They're sort of on a single block. And this in-kind value of that transfer is included in the sources and uses. The homes themselves will be located in the Johnson neighborhood, so just south of the Kensington Parkway in East Buffalo. The area is slated for some changes in the coming years. There's a big NYC DOT project, which aims to reconnect communities across that expressway. This isn't directly in the sort of project area, but is adjacent, and I think we'll see some of those effects. So having some good, regulated homeownership opportunities at this level, I think will be a good source of stability in the area. This will also be the first new construction of homes in the immediate area in quite some time, very disinvested, very low existing property values. In addition to just a standard financing stack, they're also using about $230,000 in their land bank initiative funds to cover pre-development expenses for this project. So good CR programs there. Finally, the only other thing I would note is, unlike most of our projects through the program, they're using a design build methodology. So they have chosen a builder and architect and are moving forward with them, but have sort of chosen that configuration. And we're excited about that methodology.
Will every house look the same?
Sorry?
Will all the houses look the same?
Yes. Yeah.
Good. Questions, comments? Thanks very much. Good presentation.
HTFC members is a resolution authorizing the Affordable Homeownership Opportunity Program Award for the Buffalo Erie Niagara Land Improvement Corporation. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Is carried and resolution adopted.
Fantastic. Great. Now we've got the next 5 items, 5 through 9, are all Crystal Loeffler's. And I am wondering, Alex, I think you hinted at this, if Crystal can sort of do an overview or a highlight or a something so we can we vote the block or we have to vote each one individually?
No, we can vote the block.
We can vote the block, Crystal. And in the interest of time, I'm afraid we need to do that. Crystal, what do you think?
Sounds good. Do you want me to present anything or do you want to just read the resolutions?
Why don't you just, yeah, why don't, if you want to just give the headline of what each one is, you know?
Sure. Number 5 is, I'm sorry. Number 5 is a small award increase to the Village of Perry for an existing CDBG public infrastructure project. It was a gap due to rising material costs. We'd like to just give them another $149,000. Number 6 is a request for an increase for a CDBG Cares Award for the City of Syracuse, who is working with Home Headquarters on a pretty robust housing rehab program through CDBG Cares. They have a significant pipeline, so we'd like to give them a little bit more money to keep rolling on that activity. Number 7 is a CDBG Economic Development Award for Chemung County to establish its own local microenterprise grant program. Number 8 is an exciting one. It's our annual CDBG CFA awards for public infrastructure, public facilities, and community planning. That one's $22 million for 33 grants to units of local government throughout the state. And then number 9, similarly, is our annual New York Main Street Program Awards through the annual CFA round. That is 23 awards, just over $5 million. That includes $4.2 million from the annual budget allocation and then a little bit of additional funding from earlier unsuccessful awards. That's
Great.
it.
They sound really good, and congratulations on the CFA awards. That's a lot of work rolled up into one item.
Okay.
Any questions for Crystal? Great. Can we do that, Diana?
I can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now before the HFC members are 5 resolutions, as outlined by Crystal. Resolution authorizing an amendment to a community development block grant award for the Village of Perry. Resolution authorizing community development block grant CARES Act award for the City of Syracuse. Resolution authorizing community development block. A resolution authorizing community development block grant public infrastructure, public facility, and community planning awards. And finally, a resolution authorizing New York Main Street Program awards. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor of the 5 foregoing resolutions, please say aye.
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 Motions are carried and the resolutions are adopted.
Great. Thank you, Diana, for that, and thank you, Chris, for the overview of those incredible projects. Great.
And that takes us, that all the other items until 18 have been pulled. There were the contracts that Dina mentioned.
I see. So we're gonna.
I'm sorry, Alex, items number 10 and 11 are with Dan Byer. Those were not RHC items.
I was so close.
I was ready to call Dan up to the.
Sorry.
Stand,
so close.
Let's ask Dan to come to the.
Sorry.
But again, Dan, if you can, do your two items.
Yeah.
Sort of-
Dan, I don't see Syracuse.
Hello?
That's the reason to pull
Do
him.
we have, oh, there he is.
There it is.
Hey, how you doing? We had some technical issues in Syracuse today, so I apologize. I'm on the phone.
That's because he is not in town. Can you just, again, in the same sort of style that Crystal did, if you could just give us sort of the headline version of your two items?
Sure, very quickly. I'll do the CVR item first. That is just a contract extension to an existing contract to continue performing inspections in New York City in the Section 8 program and quality control inspections statewide. That'll give them another year and some time for us to re-procure that contract. The other resolution for FSS is actually a new initiative. As you know, on the HTFC board, we generate revenue through the Section 8 PBCA contract. Under Becky and Ruth Ann's leadership, we have been taking a portion of those funds and reinvesting them back into PBCA properties in various ways, including most recently the P+ initiative. This is a new one to help HUD expand the family self-sufficiency program into the PBRA portfolio. This is pursuant to a law change from a few years back that allowed that to happen. So we're going to try to bring in a consultant and provide some seed money to help some properties start FSS programs.
Great. Thank you very much. Any questions on either one of those proposals from Dan?
Okay.
If not, Diana, let's do a double.
Now before the HFC members are resolution authorizing extension of the contract with CVR Associates, Inc., and a resolution authorizing the Family Self-Sufficiency Program Technical Assistance Pilot. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor of both resolutions, please say aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried and the resolutions adopted.
All right. Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Diana. So, Alex, it looks like they're for numbers 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16.
Yeah, and 17.
And 17 we're gonna pull them.
Yes.
And we'll probably see them in December. We'll need some time. And so then I can say the following: the remainder of information, there'll be no presentations unless requested by the members. Number 18, review the secret concur actions. Number 19, review secret type 2 actions. And number 20, review the current engine procurement contracts and lobbying restricted period. There being no further business for HFA, HTFC, and AHC boards, Diana will ask, I hope she'll do this. I mean, you willing to do it? Diana's going to ask for motions and seconds to adjourn this morning's meetings because James has arrived after an adventure while he was coming to the meeting today. And Dave is sitting in the back on his 17th cup of coffee. There he is. We want to get them to the table.
Assuming the
Let's do it.
Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA, HTFC, and AHC boards, all in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great. And the meetings are adjourned. See you in December. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Is this punishment because the last meeting was short?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so let's get Dave to the table and a motion and Diana, while Dave comes up here and I get a copy, get this party started, okay?
I'm gonna get the party started. Can I go?
Yeah, go.
I will ask for a motion for the Sunny May board. Second?
Motion, second.
Okay. I will now ask for individual votes from each Sunny May board member. I will accept the previous votes. No, I already got yours. Previous votes of Chairman Adams, Ms. Miznaka, Ms. Miller, and Ms. Bozak, all of whom voted to open up the earlier HFA HTFC meeting. Professor Ford?
He's not here.
Oh, excuse me, that's right. I mean, Mr. Freeman? Al?
Yes.
Okay. I will ask for a motion for the Sunny May Mortgage Insurance Committee. Second?
Second.
Okay. I will accept the prior votes of Chairman Adams, Ms. Miznaka, and Mr. Ozak, and Mr. Capel. Okay. Do you want me to, Chairman Adams?
Yeah, I can do it. Okay.
Why don't you go ahead and do it, Commissioner?
We are now going to take up the Sunny May board items. The first item is the minutes shall be deemed approved unless there's any objection from the directors. Okay. Next item is item 2 on the agenda. Item 2 is a resolution approving quarterly bond sale reports for the period commencing February 1st, 2023 and ending April 30th, 2023, and for the period commencing May 1st, 2023, and ending July 31, 2023. This is a key report provided in accordance with the agency's bond sale guidelines and provides much detail on the agency's bond sales during these periods. It was approved by the HFA board members earlier in our meetings, but happy to answer questions. It's also known as Alex's favorite report. AKA.
Okay, if we're okay, I'll go. Now before the SONYMA board is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and seconds previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Adopted.
The next item on the agenda is can I start in?
You're doing great.
All right, is a resolution appointing a senior vice president and chief financial officer. And Ted Podesta is here. We actually did
last time.
Well, because we did HFA last time and we were going to do SONYMA today, but as you all may or may not know, we were looking for a new chief financial officer for SONYMA. And I want to recommend the appointment of Ted as our senior vice president and chief financial officer. This is the first time where we're hiring a CFO that is responsible across the agency. So leadership over HFA, AHC, SONYMA, HTFC, and DHCR. We still have our incredible leadership team who some of you see at different times, including Daryl for HFA SONYMA, Stacy for HTFC, and Megan for DHCR, who lead all of those teams. You've seen Ted's resume, which is in the board book, so I hope you would also be excited that he's coming to HCR after a very impressive career in the private sector, where he combined both his financial acumen and his understanding of technology in his pursuits. He's worked both on the business side and the technology side of large financial institutions, including most recently at Wells Fargo as the CFO of Wealth Management Technology, and prior to that was at JP Morgan Chase, New York Stock Exchange, Goldman Sachs, Credit Suisse, Citigroup. He's already in his short time he has been here, has shown that he is deeply committed to learning our business and working with the team here. We are really thrilled to have him in accordance with the policies and procedures governing review and determination of employee compensation. I'm recommending that Mr. Podesta be appointed as senior vice president with a salary of $190,000. And that's all I got. You guys are feel free to grill him and ask him any question you would like about anything.
I just wanted to point out, given my tenure here, that the recent additions of Ted as CFO, Mark Price on the debt issuance side, Patrick Love. As I was saying,
The best for last.
those are really terrific hires for the agency on the technical side. Great additions.
Thank you, Alex. We agree.
Sure looks like you bring a very impressive background to the job. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, very extensive.
Great.
Okay,
All right.
so
That's nice and easy.
I get now before the SONYMA board is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Ted.
Now you got a paycheck. It's good. When's the next payroll? That was 3.
Here's the bottom. Here, you go back.
I think we're gonna do projects now. I love this part.
It's Mike Friedman time.
Yeah. Mike Friedman
Now the
show.
party really starts.
Exactly. Let's take up some items that require SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee action. So, your pencils out, committee members. Nope.
Can we do, because Mike has a bunch of these, do you want to do the same way we did the others?
Well,
Alex?
I don't know, we can just ask James and Dave if they want to. Do we have time or no?
James is not here.
James is here.
Oh, sorry.
Dave is here. What happened? You're weird. I'm looking not.
There's a whole statement about that. I'll just leave
There's
alone.
one more shot. I was looking for Joyce, but she's
Joyce
back.
is here. She's back.
Okay.
Think I ran away?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we have quorum, so that's good.
Yep.
And is, see,
Just tell me what we're doing.
James and you guys have been waiting. You came a long way. And I don't feel right having you get like an abbreviated version of the project description, given planes, trains, and automobiles. And Capel comes a long distance too.
5:30 this morning.
So I don't like the idea if you wait all this time and travel all this distance and we give you a headline. I like have to get out of here by 12 o'clock, but I think we could probably pull that
Yeah, I'll
off.
talk fast.
Mine says it's 3:05.
Because all we have these projects, which are really interesting and good projects. Directors need a chance to look at them and ask questions. And then I think that's it, right? For
Mhm.
Sunny May.
That's it.
So,
That's it. So
pardon
what-
me? No executive session. We can,
I guess the question,
Like-
well, we can do, however you got,
I
how,
just have two comments. I forget which, project it was.
well, let's get to,
let's get.
save your
You wanna
comments.
do them
Let's
one
go
by
through.
one, or?
Yeah, let's do them one by one. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Yeah, let's
So you guys, like I said, you two,
Right,
like you
okay.
came too far here. But Mike, somewhere in the middle, not the full blown.
Got it. Okay.
You know?
Keep it moving.
Okay. So should I start?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the first loan is a $3.7 million CPC loan for 35 Broadway in Manans Albany County. It's for the construction of 67 all low-income units, including 35 supportive units. It's a heavily subsidized project. There's a $4.9 million HFA supportive housing subsidy loan. There's 13 million in federal low-income housing credits, 1.9 million in state low-income housing tax credits, and there's 416,000 a year in ESHI rent subsidies pursuant to a contract between the Office of Temporary and Disability Housing and Soldier On. And Soldier On is it's a Massachusetts-based not-for-profit that provides traditional and permanent housing and supportive services for homeless veterans. Project is being developed by Beacon Development, which has developed over 19,000 units. The insured loan amount is 56,000 per unit, which equals 15% of the project's total development cost of 384,000 a unit.
And Mike, are all 67 units going to be for veterans?
No, 35 will be
Okay,
for
sorry.
veterans.
But still, I would remember that this is Veterans Week because Saturday, November 11th is Veterans Day. And the timing is, couldn't be better. We honor our veterans. So, question for Mike on this one?
Are you doing the first one on this?
Probably should. It's a good project. We don't do enough of this, honestly.
No.
We have to have a partner like this, a group out of Massachusetts that's the partner to make it happen. Do we want to vote them individually, Diana?
Yes, we
All
do.
right.
Okay,
Everybody okay with this one?
okay. Now before Sunny May Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The resolution adopted.
Great, let's go to the next one.
This is Main Street. This is a New York HFA loan for Main Street lofts in Buffalo. And it's construction of 147 all low-income units. There's a $14.9 million HFA new construction program loan. There's 28.3 million in federal low-income housing tax credits and 8.7 million in brownfield tax credits. There's a 15-year pilot with the Erie County IDA. The insured loan amount is $42,600 per unit, which equals 10% of the project's total development cost of $436,000 per unit.
Great, and earlier this morning, we approved the HFA subsidy and the Clean Energy Initiatives loan.
Right.
Those are new, just a note for everybody here. So we've seen this project in downtown Buffalo. And
Not everyone was here.
colleagues on the HFA board approved it or liked it. For Mike on this one?
Just at the risk of nitpicking, there's a typo in the tax credit.
This is one that says middle, MIDDLE. Did you guys see that?
Right.
Middle?
Yeah.
Yeah, middle income.
The tax credit should be $28,278,815.
Where that was.
For the record.
No, it was like,
Okay.
no.
Okay. Now before Sunny May Mortgage
I gotta find
Insurance
out.
Committee is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Harrison Place Lofts is a $2.7 million HFA loan for the historic readaptation of a commercial building into 82 all low-income units. And there's a variety of tax credits. There's 17 million in federal low-income housing tax credits. There's 8.6 million in federal historic tax credits, 3.5 million in state historic tax credits, and 6.3 million in brownfield tax credits. There's a 30-year pilot with the city of Lockport, and it's being developed by Carney Realty and Development, which is a repeat HFA and CPC borrower. And they've developed over 1,300 units. The insured loan amount is $33,000 per unit, which equals only 5% of the project's total development cost of $623,000 per unit. And the low loan amount is due to all of the various tax credits.
You know, Mike, I'll share this with you. In the board materials, there's some really good pictures of this because it's almost hard to visualize this big factory, you know, that was heavy into radiators and automotive supply chain and taken over by Delphi, like this long industrial, couple of spills, super contaminated. So, and so that it becomes a mixed use. The site gets cleaned up to the brownfield program and you put small businesses in there. I get it. But that there would be housing in there, it's just different, right? I mean, totally clean, it's safe, it's good. So it's like, to me, this is the ultimate mixed use because you often mix industrial and commercial, you know, retail at a place like this. But to have this big affordable housing project right in the middle of it, I mean, I couldn't picture it till I saw the photos or the rendering. Questions or comments for Mike on this? So interesting.
What percentage is considered affordable housing?
Yeah. Tony, you should ask.
Well, 60% for federal, and I think 70% for state.
Let's go to 80 AMI for like Section 8 and things like that too. So I think you could say in general, like in terms of what they think of as the standard at the federal level.
Yeah.
But we obviously serve a range of.
Anyone, this is Lockport, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that under the Buffalo Regional AMI or what AMI would it be?
I guess.
What, is there a Western? No, there must be
Probably
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Probably
I
Buffalo.
would think.
Yeah.
You got Buffalo, Tonawanda, south of Buffalo, right? Lockport over here.
You're just showing up.
Yes.
It's a great area. Got quite a football team, except last week. Ooh, we won't go there. What's his name not around? God.
My turn?
Yeah.
Okay, now before SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
It's the Buffalo Chickasaw Niagara Falls MSA.
Buffalo Cheektowaga, yeah. Cheektowaga is actually, when you fly it off the airport, you're actually in town of Cheektowaga,
Oh,
right by the airport.
Nice airport.
Very impressive.
Very nice airport. Thank you, Senator Schumer and JetBlue and all that. Okay.
Cypress Hills.
Oh, Dorothy Day.
Oh,
Dorothy Day. So Dorothy Day is located on Riverside Drive and 107th Street. It's a $2.6 million local initiative support corporation. And we're starting to see a lot of business from LISC for the mod rehab of 70 units. And it's a mix of low income units. Most tenants will receive tenant-based Section 8 vouchers from either NYCHA or HPD. And there's a $3.2 million HPD PLP loan subordinate to the LISC loan, $1 million FHLB loan. There's $3 million in existing HHC loan and a $2.5 million existing HPD loan. And there's a full 420C real estate tax abatement. And the project is being developed by Broadway Housing Communities, which owns and operates 5 properties with 330 units. The insured loan amount is $36,700 per unit, which equals 20% of the project's total development cost of $185,700 per unit.
See any questions?
Any questions? Any questions on this one? I was caught up on the $1 million from ESD. Sorry.
I know.
It's a good thing, downtown revitalization. Other people's money. We like that.
Right.
Let's go.
Okay, now before Sunny May Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 It's carried, the resolution adopted.
Let's go from Manhattan to Brooklyn, Mike.
So Cypress Hills third-party transfer cluster comprises a $3 million LISC loan for the substantial rehab of 5 buildings with 46 low-income and affordable units. There's a 40-year regulatory agreement with HPD. There's 11.9 million in HPD subsidy loan. There's a full Article 11 real estate tax exemption. And it's being developed by the Cypress Hills Local Development Corp., which owns and operates over 400 units of affordable housing. And a majority of the units are 2-bedroom units. The insured loan amount is $67,600 per unit, which equals 20% of the project's total development cost of $333,000 per unit.
Great. Questions for Mike on Cypress Hills? What's TPT stand for?
Third-party transfer.
Ah, sorry.
Just remember the city takes tax properties.
Yeah, and, right, HPD used to do that.
Still does.
They still do, right? They
Yeah.
grab tax, right? And so TPT is their, got
I
it.
worked in the creation of. Oakland.
They do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna transfer them to.
In this case, the Cypress Hills, which is an organization we've done a lot of work with over the years, right?
Yeah.
That's how they got support. Very good. Any questions for Mike on this? If not, let's do it.
Okay, now before Sunny May Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried, the resolution adopted.
So 402 West 119th Street is an amendment to a loan that was approved at the June board meeting. The existing approval is for a $2.1 million LISC loan, and there've been increases in construction and soft costs. So LISC is requesting a $356,600 increase to the existing loan to a new loan of $2,460,000.
So we're only giving them 356,593.
Right. And what did I say?
600.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Sorry.
Any questions for Mike? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. The increase is due to insurance costs or over?
No increase in construction costs. You know, we're seeing a lot of.
Okay. Another Chris Bremmer project, right? The last one. Okay. Yeah.
Now before Sunny May Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Baisley Pond Residences. This is a neat loan and a neat project. It's the conversion of the former JFK Hilton into 318 units, including 192 supportive units, formerly homeless tenants, and 125 regular low-income units. The Sunny May is insuring only the top 50% of the loan, so our exposure is $25,430,000. It's a very heavily subsidized project. There's a $20 million HDC second loan, a $33.8 million HDC third loan, and there's a $47.7 million HFA Housing Our Neighbors with Dignity acquisition loan for the purchase of the hotel. It's by Riseboro Community Development. Majority of the units are studio units. There are 33 one-bedrooms and 10 two-bedrooms. The insured loan amount is $160,000 per unit, which equals 31% of the project's total development cost of $523,000 per unit. And what's interesting about this is there's a contract with between the borrower and HPD for FEPS, Family Eviction Prevention Subsidy, rental subsidies, $5.5 million a year. And this is the first time we've seen a contract for FEPS subsidies. We've seen projects with FEPS subsidies in the past, and we've never underwritten to them because there was no contract. We've always underwritten to the underlying tax credit rents. And HPD finally got the message, and there's a contract for these FEPS units. So it's a step in the right direction.
I just want to note that this item and the one following are both Mortgage Insurance Committee and board action, right? Not just the committee.
Yes.
Separately from the last one that we saw.
Yes.
You know, we, I think, know this building. Anyone who goes to the airport, it's been there forever. But as it says in the notes, it's an important, I don't think there's a solution to this. It's really not well accessed by mass transit.
No.
And you're going to, and so let's think about it, like Department of Homeless Services is going to send single men, single women, others, there are a lot of single units here, people to a place that's very hard, but it'll be very hard to get there from there to a job interview. I mean,
Yes.
I get it, like the site's
And they're-
available, the hotel's abandoned, you can make 350 units.
There are very
wish
few
it-
parking spots.
There's a small number of parking spots. There's Ubers, I guess, but these are
That's
very poor
expensive.
people. And like,
Yeah.
and the crazy thing is the air train is right there and Jamaica's right there and Jamaica Station, you get everything.
Right. The Hotel Workers Union has a veto right,
Yeah.
and they have vetoed every other hotel conversion except this one.
Really?
So it's not in a great location, but it's,
Even for them.
Which is
Even
maybe
it's
why it
the
didn't
only
work
one.
as a hotel.
Even for them, it probably just didn't work for them.
yeah, I think the hotel was closed.
They had, it was closed, been closed for so long.
Yeah.
And they say in the write-up, you guys wrote that it was closed because of fall off in international air travel. This place, I think was
Yeah.
pre-COVID.
That's-
Right, it's
Yeah.
been closed a long time. And I don't know, the hotel
This-
union.
Citibank was going to do a loan with Common Ground for the conversion of the Paramount Hotel. And the Hotel Workers Union killed that. It's reopened as a hotel.
So this
Right,
one left
they
me
also killed
feeling
Airbnb.
sad.
Right. And that was, an even bigger hotel than this one.
Well, in a much better location.
Much better, it was in Times Square.
But hotels at airports in the New York area are always very challenged because it's so easy to be in the city. And so if you
Right.
even if you have like an early flight or
Right,
whatever
take
it
a
is,
cab downtown.
it's just, it's not a good, the city really competes with those hotels. And I know this from my Port Authority days when we were doing LaGuardia, there were a lot of hotels out there. So it's a hard market. So what would be great is if there could be additional public transit, which would then make this more,
Well,
and maybe.
it's almost big enough to say, couldn't there be like a shuttle bus or something?
exactly
And maybe
what I was
Yeah.
just a shuttle bus to Jamaica, to the train station.
Otherwise, it's basically a warehouse.
That's the thing, right?
You know, it left me feeling sad, I'll
Right.
be honest with you. There's not only is there not good transit access, but you can't even get to a store.
Right.
You know, so these people, I mean, any housing is better than no housing.
Right.
So I
Well, but-
preface with that.
But maybe there'll be enough there that it could, even some small businesses might be able to.
There's no density of income.
Yeah.
You have density of poor people.
Okay.
Kind of a sad place to live.
Very sad. But
Why don't
it's a
they
roof
put a
over your head,
store in
right? So
here?
that's, on the other hand,
But why isn't there a store in here?
because there's probably not enough revenue to support it. You have to subsidize it.
Right.
Well,
Well, I think that.
Isn't there an agency
I
that
think
does?
The shuttle is a good solution.
I think,
Yeah, I
I
think
think,
it
I
is.
think access to public transit is what would make it.
Well,
easier.
Are there any city planning models that support expanding transportation to it?
I think it's an
Yeah.
interesting question.
Lots of transit deserts.
It's someone's gonna have to raise it with the community board, the borough president. I mean, if it's really it's a local, you could do it. You could do a reservoir for shut, I don't know what council members, whatever. We don't have to spend too much time on it,
Right.
but it is, I think we're sharing.
Yeah.
On the one hand, congratulations for pulling a rabbit out of a hat with respect to local 6, right?
Yeah.
Because that's hard. And to have a building sit empty for so long that can be a viable place of shelter is important.
well, but I think the question that's being raised is whether it's viable.
I mean, it's viable, it just there could And, how do you make it better?
You know, the thing that bothers me about it, and I'm not knocking it, I'm just.
We're approving this thing.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
just
I'm gonna
venting.
vote- I'm gonna vote for it, but, if I'm putting myself in the shoes of somebody that's gonna live there, where's the hope?
Right.
Where do you see a chance to elevate yourself out of that circumstance? It's sad.
It feels like a warehouse.
Yeah.
Well, in some ways too, though, I think it can be a transitional place, right? There are obviously many people who are in shelters and are not, so
Mhm.
living somewhere like this in the short term, while you can then go somewhere else is a improvement from.
Like I said, any housing is better than no housing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it'll be decent housing, so that's all good.
Yeah, and
It's like,
it's viable because there's 5.4 million in city FEPS rent subsidies and another 1.9 million in HRA operating income subsidies.
No, I'm saying from an underwriting point of view, it's viable, but I'm just saying from a social point of view.
I don't agree.
It is, look,
I do agree.
it is really
I
a
don't
city-driven project.
Yes.
There's a question to me about Riceboro and what their role really will be as a
Yeah.
social services provider and all that. And, but let's put it to a vote I'm sorry, James.
No, I was gonna say, like the Jerome Avenue projects and other things, are there any places within the building or in the immediate area for support services to be put in place? Because when we voted on the other ones, we made sure they had security, they had, places where they can go shopping or at least have access to something. And is there anyone that will be working with them to be able to move them to make this like a transitional housing?
Which is experience, will staff it. But I don't think there's no
development.
I don't think there's an office.
There is an interesting, the idea that the commercial kitchen, which was the old hotel kitchen, be converted and be used by
Meals on Wheels.
Meals on Wheels does mean that there'll be some active work. Maybe people can get jobs with Meals on Wheels, driving trucks, loading trucks, making food. That'll be happening. And in the ground floor, there's office space for Riseboro, right? So we should do a site visit. There's the potential. There is the potential to provide more support to the residents. And I think we all.
I was gonna say, if it's a
would love
Meals
to
on
see that
Wheels
happen.
program, why can't they turn it into?
Well, that's interesting, right? No, and culinary could be a good.
Yeah.
So at least, so something will be going on there, but your turn.
Now before Sunny May Mortgage Insurance Committee and the Sunny May Board are resolutions that were transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee and the Sunny May Board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried, the resolution adopted.
Right.
So
I
then,
think you have one more, right?
no, actually two more.
Or two, I'm
The
sorry.
next two are both HFA loans. Marcus Garvey Extension is a $9.4 million HFA loan.
Does this sound familiar?
2019. You have a good memory.
Wow.
Well, that was the last phase of it.
For the construction of 109 all low-income units, including 55 supportive units. And these are not ESHI units, even though they're supportive units. There's a New York City 1515 rent and support service funding for 55 units. There's a 420C full real estate tax exemption. There's
What is New
70.
York City 1550 rent?
Oh, it was I guess pursuant to a court order. New York City has a program that's not unlike ESHI to provide rent subsidy and support services.
And that's what it's called.
Yeah, do you remember the
Yes.
New York 3 agreements? Like there was New York 1, New York 2, New York 3, and then after which were city-state agreements around the state programs and different agencies and different populations being served. And then we split in, I forget what year it was, and now there is 1515 in New York City, which is service and operating, primarily service and and then ESHI at the state level. So it serves a variety of populations.
So a building, can a building get both?
You can't fund the same unit with ESHI and 1515, but we often co-fund and you can have 1515 units and
You could have
ESHI.
a 100-unit building with 50 ESHI and 50,
Yes.
You could get like youth aging out of foster care from
Right.
ESHI, and you could get homeless families from 1515 and serve both populations in one building.
Okay.
Yes. And it could be two different agencies that have those two different contracts. So
Doesn't
you
have to
could
be the
use
same
owner and
agency, right?
bring in two different services.
So there would be different requirements for the units?
No, I think the unit requirements are largely the same. The service contracts are largely around types of services they're providing and rent support.
Great. That's really helpful and interesting.
It's great. And actually, other states don't really have these types of things, especially because they're long-term contracts. So you can hire staff and they can work there and know that you're going to need staff for 15 years. And other states, I think, definitely drool over the ability to finance and provide services long-term in the way that New York does.
New
It's
York's
great.
always been ahead of every place else.
Mike, anything else? I'm sorry, did we cut you off?
It's being developed by Services for the Underserved, which is a large social service agency, which has developed over 1,800 units of affordable housing.
Yeah. Very good. Good project. And you know, SUS is the partner to LNH, right?
Right.
L&M.
Right. But, you know, L&M is going to drop out of the ownership upon completion.
Okay.
They're just a turnkey.
Oh, okay.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Any questions for Mike on this one?
Catholic Charities is just a support or their owner?
That is a good question.
Is Catholic Charities in this one?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What was the question?
The role of Catholic Charities.
Oh,
I don't know.
in.
I didn't know they were in Mark.
Did you see them in the?
It says beneficial owner.
Yeah, beneficial owner, developer history,
Legal owner controlled by Catholic Charities, Housing Capital.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because that's, oh, so maybe SUS. It's just
Beneficial
the
owner
service
controlled by
provider.
Monadnock.
Wait, you're in Utica Crescent?
Are you looking at Marcus?
No, look
Joyce?
at Marcus Garvey.
Yep.
Oh,
Marcus
you're
Garvey.
looking Marcus Garvey. Oh, sorry.
Page 5. That 5, yeah, page
Pages are numbered.
5 in developer history, and where else was it?
You know, that might be a mistake.
No,
And-
they're donors.
Page
I think
just
Wait,
12.
you're on,
that's,
you're on
I'm sorry, that's Utica Crescent.
You might have,
page 5, Catholic Charities acting as the
That's
HFC
Utica.
Bruce Development Arms. That's,
The next one.
Marcus
Skip-
Garvey
skipping
is L&M and SUS.
Right.
And the next
Oh, you're right.
So,
Should we do Ellen?
yeah, let's do that one.
Okay, let's
All
do
right.
this. Okay, now,
So, oh, sorry.
so we're gonna do now Marcus Garvey. Item 11. Now before Sunny May Mortgage Insurance Committee and the Sunny May Board are resolutions that were transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee and the Sunny May Board. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Adopted. Okay, now we go to
Number 11.
Right.
It's Jesse, I have to get going, so I don't know. We can, if you still need me for voting or quorum.
I think we're okay without you. You're number 6, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, no, we're fine, Jesse.
We're good, Jesse.
All right.
Thanks for your help today.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, Jesse.
Bye-bye.
See you, Jess.
Have a good Thanksgiving. See you in December.
God.
So Utica Crescent comprises